Thank you, Chair, and welcome, Justice O'Reilly. I want to talk a little bit about the relationship between the independent Senate ethics officer and the Standing Committee on Ethics and Conflict of Interest for Senators. It's an important partnership and one that must be mutually respectful. Both the Parliament of Canada Act and the Code provide that the SCO's duties and functions shall be carried out under what it describes as the general direction of the committee. How do you view the role of the committee in supporting the SCO's responsibility in the Code? Can you describe how the level of collaboration you would wish to engage on and interpret your independence from the committee while having this engagement? And do you anticipate addressing any potential conflict of interests that might arise in this relationship between your role and the committee?
Mr. O'Reilly.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, I wondered what the general direction of the committee means. I haven't come across anything that helps me understand that partnership, although I can imagine situations where the committee may wish to invite the officer to explain how he or she is interpreting the Code, and or even a specific investigation. Although I haven't seen that happen, perhaps I will learn more about that relationship. I did notice in one of the inquiry reports that there was a question about whether a matter should go to the committee while an investigation was ongoing, and I think my predecessor took the very firm position that that was not an appropriate way to proceed, and that made sense to me when I read it. And maybe members of the committee are of a different view, and if so, I'd like to hear that view. But I wondered if, under the general direction of the committee, that terminology was meant to express the idea that it is for the committee to give general guidance to the officer from time to time, but not, of course, in respect of any particular investigation.
Senator Harder.
I want to move to another area, and that is the purpose. One of the purposes of the Code, it says, is to maintain and enhance public confidence and trust in the integrity of senators and the Senate. How do you view your role in fulfilling that part of the Code?
Mr. O'Reilly.
Merci, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm eager to respond. Well, it's interesting that those high principles are meant to, I think, inform the interpretation of other provisions of the Code, and that is how I have seen it employed. So that's a very specific way, and that's not unusual in codes or in legislation for there to be a purpose clause that helps the interpreter of the legislation or of the Code to understand how it's meant to be applied, or at least the aspirations that lie behind the more particular parts of the Code. So I certainly would see it as performing that, and I would think that is something, and this is the value of having a Code at all, is that all of the members of this chamber will surely be aware of what the purpose is and what their role is in this institution, and that will guide their behavior overall. For the officer to employ the same principles and purposes in interpreting how the Code is applied.